would like to thank a regular contributor to the channel, USN for America, for showing me this article from Savi, SAVI.com, titled Hit and Run at Sea as Detected Sensors. And what this particular article does, and I just want to go to the top here, it covers basically the nuts and bolts of the transit of the ACX crystal that night, and a lot of other things. Most of this we've covered already. Any regular person who comes to the channel will know about why the times are different, and this is the entire track from start to, well, at least start to this location. But the most important part in today's video that we're going to cover is, they said here they've observed what looks like hit and run behavior, which is, to my mind, indicative of an attack, not an accident. I mean, see, it's easy in your car just to, throw it in reverse and back up and take off some other direction. But in these ships, to do what these people did, they probably thought they were going to try to get away with it. So, and based on the statement from the captain to Dainichi, that totally contradicts what all of the experts who came out early in the investigation said about the ship being on autopilot and all this stuff. I thought this bears some looking into. So this is basically what we've looked at ad nauseum, and about the speeds, but it also talks in here about the loiter time and the return trip and how this more than likely wasn't autopilot. But this is the part that we haven't covered yet, and I didn't know anything about. Once again, thank you, USN for America, for showing me this. I've said it before, the contributors to the channel make the channel. I'm just going to read this. Now it says after 100 minutes, and that's just as basically starting at this point where they decided to turn and take off to this point 1 is 100 minutes. After 100 minutes, the MV ACX Crystal, MV standing for motor vehicle, drops speed again, this time also by 1/3, and turns due north. It continues north for 106 minutes, passing Izushima Island, then switches to broadcasting the anomalous status of not under command. This is not a normal condition. It'd be very interesting to learn what was going on the vessel during this time. Boarding by the Japanese Coast Guard, damage inspection, not likely. Something else. It then drops to two, basically I say not likely is because they could have easily been doing damage inspection on that trip out. It's not like they have to have the ship stopped to have somebody walking out and taking a look at the bent rail, or looking over the rail and seeing the gray paint on the side of it. It's not like they were in danger of sinking themselves. It then drops to 2 kph, detours westward on a slow 3-hour and 20-minute or 200-minute crawl, then returns to an eastward course. Finally, at 0249 UTC, that is over 10 hours later from the time of the alleged collision, the alleged accident collision, the MV ACX Crystal then switches back to broadcasting normal, underway using engines. The speed's backed up to 24 kph, and then on to Tokyo. Now, a lot of what this goes into, and this is an older article, I can't believe I missed it, but once again, that's why we have lots of eyes and lots of ears at the channel. They try to show that, based on, they'll look at all the different ships whose paths eventually crossed. Well, we saw that. Well, at least we used to see that, that night, but I just wanted to cover this one more time. I've done it 2 other times before. People said, well, you've got different things turned off. That's why there's not many ships in that channel anymore. Well, here you go, folks. All of these different denoters, these different colors and shapes mean different things, and these are all the ships at vesselfinder.com. And of course, I'm going to do this again and just swoop in here and show you this massively busy shipping lane again. Here's that little dot we had talked about before that's a 1/4 mile long. Here's Oshima Island. Yep, it is just a massively busy channel at all times. Just Too much to handle for any one ship. Well, I guess it used to be. I wonder why it wouldn't be now. Hard to say. Very hard to say, but I also saw something online that I thought was very interesting. Now, I had made the statement that if the Navy military would relent and give these sailors the honors they deserved as having died as a result of war or terrorism, I would relent. Well, there's this. And this is from 4 days ago. I find that interesting, that one of these sailors was buried at Arlington. No, they were all active duty and died on active duty, so yeah, they all could be buried at Arlington, but I think this guy's father, this was the father of the kid who supposedly made the phone call from below decks, and I'm wondering, him being a Navy veteran himself, if he has been able to see what we've been able to see, and he said, look, my kid's going to get buried at Arlington. And they all deserve to be buried at Arlington, from my point of view. I don't think any of these sailors should have been buried privately. They should have all been given the Purple Hearts. And I had misspoke. We actually need 10 Purple Hearts, because we had 3 that were injured and survived, the captain and 2 others that were airlifted that night. So, that's what I wanted to cover in today's video, that the spooky behavior of the ACX crystal did not stop during that time. This is an article here that I was going to cover, and I might as well just go over it real quick. This is an old one from June 21st, and they're doing an interview with a guy who's fairly well versed in naval goings-on, George J. Costas, Research Institute for Homeland Security, unlimited master's license for ocean-going vessels of any tonnage. You know, this is based on his initial involvement. There's a lot of information that's come out that he wasn't privy to at the time of this interview, so we're not going to hold him to too high of a standard. But he said he was happy that the Navy, Coast Guard, and Japanese were going to be investigating this. Well, a lot of people don't know that the Japanese have already wrapped up their investigation. They did so over a week ago. They're done investigating, and we haven't heard anything about anything. The Navy still to this day has not called it an accident. They called it a collision, they called it an event, and they called it an incident. And we are now going on 2 months coming up here on the 17th, which I believe is 4 days from now, and not a single administrative action against any member of the crew, the bridge crew that night, the captain, anybody. And we've got 1 buried in Arlington, so I think the Navy's going to probably be revealing something to us pretty quick here. That isn't going to be what people thought it was. Here he talks about coal regs. He talks about crossing situation. He talks about the standing orders that have been covered, but there was something that he had said here. He talked about, he said, additionally, the Admiral said that the crew of the USS Fitzgerald was awakened by the violence of the collision. This guy says, I'm surprised to hear that because all naval vessels are equipped with a set of alarms, with each alarm having a distinctive tone to indicate specific emergencies. You know, and he goes into the details of why that was very, very strange. Also very, very strange that the captain wasn't on the bridge. He talks about, you know, what the bulbous bow does and all this. And this whole thing about the bulbous bow, I would love to see anybody else show me another event prior to this where a bulbous bow in any collision did the alleged level of damage that happened here. I mean, they're saying that almost all of these cargo vessels have these bulbous bows, and there's been accidents before, and there's been collisions before. You would think this would have been something that we could easily find an article saying the bulbous bow penetrated below the waterline of this other vessel and it caused it all this damage, and I just can't find it, that this has ever happened before. And this is where he talks about how many ships go through that area. He says 400 ships passing through daily. talking about how it was a clear night. And it says, reports indicate it was a clear night at the time of collision, so a low-tech visual lookout should have provided a visual indication of an approaching ship. Which is the first thing I thought, too, when I heard it was a clear night. The first thing I really thought was, like, it must have been really foggy or bad weather or something. But none of that applied. It talks about, all of the sensing systems that are aboard. And it says, and it's in here, it says it's important to give this investigation its time. There should be plenty of recorded data, similar to flight recorders, black boxes. This was 2 months ago, folks. 2 months ago. It's the middle of August. This should have been over and done with a long time ago. I mean, the Porter was already pretty much wrapped up by this time. The issue with the Cole was an entirely different event. It had very little to do with the actual damage of the ship. It was about terrorism. But anyway, I just wanted to cover this and let everyone know that the investigation continues. Real quick on the South America thing, the son of the president of Venezuela said that he would, with rifles, show up at the door of the White House if there were any intervention in Venezuela. And this is something that I had covered long time ago. So we are still looking into that, and hopefully we can get some justice for these sailors, get them taken care of, their families taken care of, and deal with the cancer in North Asia very shortly. But like, share, subscribe. Thank you everyone for the input. I really appreciate it. And this video goes to show that, never think any link is too unimportant or I have seen it. Even if you have to send me 900 links that I've seen before, if it's that, one I haven't, that's going to uncover another piece of the puzzle. So like, share, subscribe. Thanks so much. See you next time.